Okay. So once again, good morning, everybody. So today we're going to continue our lesson in reading and writing. So before we continue, let's have our prayer first. May I call in Nina to please lead us in prayer.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to have an online discussion on this subject, reading and writing. We ask that you bless my co-student and our teacher, Sir Noel, to guide us. We pray that you will guide us in all ways, so that we will seek your will in everything we do. We ask this in the name of Jesus, our God. Amen.
Okay. Amen. So before I start, let me just give you an advice, guys. I know you are going through a lot of difficulties just because of the condition or the situation. It's COVID-19 pandemic, but then learning must continue in spite of the situation. The thing is, you have to strive hard and you keep on believing in yourself and never allow any negativities to hinder in yourself that might destroy your determination to learn a lot of things. Somehow teachers are doing their best in able to teach you so that learning will not restrain or refrain. Okay, so for this lesson we will talk about the strategies for critical reading. But then let's have first our recap regarding what transpired in the last lesson that we had. Anybody from the group, you can open your microphone if you wanted to speak.
Sir,
Yes,
last
Grisel.
last week we have studied about the different patterns of development such as narration, description, exemplification, comparison and contrast, classification or division, cause and effect, problem solution, and lastly definition. Also, we have studied about the signal words used as clues to easily identify the pattern of development used in the text.
Okay, very good. So those are just an overview the overview of writing. But now we're going to give you. I'll be giving you the a gist or just a preview of reading. All right. So these are the objectives. First, to identify the different strategies for critical reading. Second, use appropriate strategies for critical reading. Okay, let me ask you a question, class. Um, are you fond of reading? Anybody? Are you fond of reading?
Yes po.
Yes
Okay,
po.
yeah. Usually, what kind of reading materials that you like to read? What kind of
Um,
reading? Mm-hmm.
Sometimes pocketbooks and hardbound and dictionaries. Some seldom.
Mm-hmm. Packet books, English or Tagalog?
Bo- Both po.
About. Okay, that's good. Others, what kind of reading materials?
Ano po, app po siya, Wattpad po.
The what point? I think that is the kind of trend for young people, right? For the youngsters. But then, if you are really wanted to get equipped in reading, to have this critical, to give critical conclusion in what you are reading, well, I guess I do prefer to read some reading materials like books or magazines or any other reading materials that can be useful. All right. Now, what are the benefits for you as a reader of a certain books or other reading materials? Okay, what are the benefits of it for you?
Nakakakuha po ng mga bagong
English,
definition.
please.
We get some new words by reading and learning something from the story, like lesson learned in life, like that po.
Yeah, very good. We can gain or we can get a lot of new words. Okay, that is an additional vocabulary on you, on your part. The thing is, you have to apply using it so that you will never tend to forget it, right? What else?
I can enrich my vocabulary, and also the I can upgrade the cohesiveness in writing
Mm-hmm.
by just in reading.
Yeah, cohesiveness. You have mentioned cohesiveness. Yeah, just because you are able to absorb the pattern of the writer from what you are reading, the chronology of the idea of the writer. Yeah, that's very good. You learn how to make unity or the proper union of the ideas out from other writers. Yeah, that's good. What else? Anybody?
It exercises our brains and improve our focus and vocabulary.
That is good. That is one point. You know, class, um, our body needs a lot of nutrients to function very well. And of course, our mind is able to continuously function it. You know, reading is the best or one of the best remedy to continue function our brain cells, right? Just because you are becoming very critical when you are reading. Okay, and that would be our great focus on this lesson. Now, so we have here, why is critical reading as a way of thinking and reason significant, especially in this era of technology? Who wants to answer this? Why is critical reading? There is a word reading there. I missed to put or to place the word reading. Why is critical reading as a way of thinking and reason significant, especially in this era of technology? Why do you think so, class? Why have to be critical?
Because sometimes the words that used in the sentence is we can misunderstand it, and some people wouldn't know what is the meaning of it, so we must critical read the passage or the context or the sentence that has been written or showed.
Yeah, it might give some a bit of confusion, right? And so you will tend not to absorb the real meaning or the real message that the author wanted to convey to the reader. Yeah, very good. What else? Other answer. Why do you think we have to be critical in reading? Why is critical reading as a way of thinking and reason? Because what else? Other answer? Is there any other answer from you? Okay. Okay. In critical reading, it is a way of thinking just because we are giving justification the content of what we are reading. Giving justification, that is what I am saying, right? You justify if the author or the written context by the author is correct, or is it justifiable? Is it something acceptable? Is it something real? Right? We do a lot of rationalization. And of course, nowadays, just because most of the youngsters or most of the people, they keep on depending more in browsing the internet, some information. So we just have to be critical. You know, it's like what I keep on telling to my students. If they are going to use the Wikipedia or other sites in able to get some sources of, to use it as a source of information, well, definitely we have to be rational. We have to be sensible enough if the information to be taken is correct. It's not a matter of keep on getting the information from the internet. We must know we must learn how to do justification. Must learn how to do some rationalization if the information is correct. That is why we have to be critical in reading. All right. Now, so it is being mentioned that reading effectively requires approaching text with a critical eye, evaluating what you read for not just what says, but how and why it says it. So effective reading is central to both effective research. Now that you are having your practical research one, it's quite necessary that the information that you are going to use from your study to your study is something reliable, something that is correct. Okay, that is the purpose of research. Okay, so reading critically does not necessarily mean being critical of what you read or what you read. Though at the sound of the word usually connotes critic or negative reactions, it's not that actually. It's not about giving negative reaction to what you are reading. Both reading and thinking critically do not mean being critical about some idea, argument, or piece of writing, claiming that it's somehow faulty or flawed. It is going beyond what is given, and also critical reading means engaging on what you read by asking yourself questions such as, what is the author trying to say? What is the main argument being presented by the author? That is critical reading, but not a manner of giving some negative criticism or giving a negative connotation regarding what you are reading. So critical reading involves presenting a reason, argument that evaluates and analysis what you have being read. That is the critical reading. Okay, so that is something that we have to understand. That reading is not something just about um, giving wrong statement. Okay, but proper justification. Okay, now let's do this one. According to that, reading effectively requires approaching text with a critical eye, evaluating what you read for not just what it says, but how and why it says it. So that is what I have mentioned earlier. Also, critical reading means engaging in what you read by asking yourself questions such as, what is the author trying to say? Well, definitely, the author is very imaginative. Okay, if you are fond of reading novels, well, definitely you will understand um, the kind of character that the author is trying to portray in the kind of novel that you are reading. Okay. Also, it says that critical reading involves presenting a reasoned argument that evaluates and analyzes that you have read. So, being critical, therefore, in an academic sense, means advancing your understanding, not dismissing, and therefore closing off learning. So, that is one thing. Okay, so that is what I am saying earlier, that the critical reading is not a way of giving negative reaction to what you have read, but giving a lot of meaning to what you are reading. By how by giving proper interpretation to the things or to the reading material that you are reading, right? Like, so for example, you are reading Wattpad. That is trend, as I said earlier, trends for the youngsters nowadays. But then you have to be critical reader when you are reading that kind of reading material. Does it helpful to you? Does it spar that kind of emotion that you have? What does it spar means? Parang tinutusok ba yung puso mo when you are reading that? That is something we have to be critical. So if you think that that kind of reading material is something that sparks your emotion or something that drives you to do something bad, then you have to stop reading it. So you just have to be critical on reading that. Okay. Now we have our class strategies in critical reading. Can you please read, Andre?
Annotating. One of the first strategies to begin with is annotating a text. When you annotate, you underline important parts of the text, such as the thesis statement, topic sentences of body paragraphs, and explanatory material.
Yes, thank you so much. Do you understand what it says, what annotating is? Anybody from the group who wants to explain this briefly? Annotating. It says that annotating one of the first strategies to begin with reading a text. When you annotate, you underline important parts of the text, such as thesis statement, topic sentences of body paragraphs, and explanatory material. Are you fond of doing this when you are reading? Let's say, for example, you are reading such this book. I love this. Can you see it? The one that I'm showing in my camera. Can you see it, class?
Hindi po sir, masyado po maliwanag.
Okay, this is one way of annotating. You are highlighting just because I do highlight. I'm fond of highlighting some statement which give or leave a mark in me. All right, some important lines or good lines that becomes remarkable on your part. And of course, if you think that this is a kind of important, you try to highlight those things so you can go back to those statements. And of course, if you wanted to cite it for future study, you could be able to trace it back. That is annotating. Just because you try to annotate it, you try to underline, you try to give some mark on it, just because you find it very important. That is critical reading, because you are able to let your mind function critically on it. Okay. Now let's have this one. Contextualizing. Dana, can you please read?
Contextualizing. When you contextualize a text, you place it within its original historical or cultural context. To do this, you need to consider the following: language or ideas that appears foreign or out of date, your knowledge of the time and place in which the work was written, the fact, the effect these differences have on your understanding and judgment of the reading.
Yes. Okay. So contextualizing is placing a text in its historical, biographical, and cultural context. So when you read a text, you read it through the lens of your own experience. So definitely your understanding of the words on the page and their significance is informed by what you have come to know and value from living in a particular time and place. And so, but the text you read were all written in the past, sometimes radically different time and place. So to read critically, you need to contextualize to recognize the differences, right? So that is one thing that we have to do. We have to contextualize. Let's say, for example, the kind of book or the kind of novel that you're reading is quite, let's say 18th century. That is the time of Shakespeare. That would be the time of Edgar Allan Poe. So what would you expect? The kind of English that they have used is quite of obsolete. When we say obsolete, that is a bit of what? Old, right? It is no longer used at this moment. Let's say, for example, the word the, thou, which only refers to the word you are no longer using those. So we have to contextualize using the language or ideas that appear foreign or out of date because we could not be able to understand it better if not going to contextualize. Okay, by understanding or by contextualizing, we could easily understand what the writer or what the author is trying to deliver to the reader. Okay, because you do study or you dig deeper the origin or how does the kind of writing has taken place. So your knowledge of the time and place in which the author was written, we can understand it, right? That's why I do love reading class, just because as I keep on telling to my students, when you keep on reading, you can explore the world. You don't have to ride in an airplane just to go to France, just to go to Paris, just to go to New York. But then when you are reading, you are able to put yourself or you are able to picture out the things on those places which is quite stipulated to what you are reading. So it means that you are able to travel from time to places. If that is kind of fictional, well, you could put yourself in a time wherein we have a lot of princesses, we have a lot of prince, or the monarch time or the monarch government, right? So you don't have to go to Korea. You don't have to go to different countries. But then through reading, you are able to explore the world, and it works. Okay, so that's the essence of contextualizing and of course reading. The third one is reflecting on challenges to your beliefs and values. Jamaica, can you please read? Jamaica, can you please read?
Reflecting on challenges to your beliefs and values. Sometimes our beliefs about an issue are difficult to express because they are so ingrained.
Okay, sometimes our beliefs about an issue are difficult to express because they are so ingrained. Anybody who can explain this? Do you have any idea what does it mean? Reflecting on challenges to your beliefs and values. Why does it says that it reflects challenges to your beliefs and values? Anyone?
For me po, because every people has different beliefs and values in life. So when you read something about like it doesn't even what do you call that goes in the same way as you believe, you're just like going to depend or defend what you believe.
Yeah. So when we are reading, we should not justify it by our own perception, right? By our own knowledge. Just because if we're going to depend on our own perception only, we will justify it that we are the one who is correct and the author is wrong. So examining your personal responses. So the reading that you do for this might challenge your attitudes, your unconsciously held beliefs. So your position or current issue, that is something. It will challenge you. So try to practice it class when you are reading. Okay? So let's say for example, um, you have read a post message via Facebook or Instagram, but then you are able um, to have this idea that that person's idea is not correct, you're able to reflect or challenge yourself in the kind of what you are believing in and the kind of values that you are having, right? But then, as I said earlier, we don't have to be just a critic. Okay, we don't have to negate on the perception of the person who have posted it, or we don't have to do some rebuttal, okay, to the author based on what you are reading. Okay, so reflecting on challenges to your beliefs. Sometimes when I'm reading, um, for example, this one, this is Steve Jobs. Okay, I'm reading this book, The Life of Steve Jobs. Um, I'm being challenged to the kind of values presented by the person, or the character in this kind of book. His perception about life, his challenges that he has gone through. You know, that is something. Okay, something that quite acceptable to what I believe in. Something acceptable to the kind of values that I have. So that is reflecting on challenges. Now, what about this paraphrasing? Let's hear it to Atasha.
When you paraphrase a text, you put it into your own words. This can clarify a difficult or ambiguous passage.
Okay, so when you paraphrase a text, you put it in your own words. This can clarify a difficult or ambiguous passage. Well, definitely. Okay, by the way, do you have idea what paraphrasing is? For you, what is paraphrasing based on the definition given?
It is restating the meaning of a text without changing any information.
Okay, you are just restating, but you don't have, okay, you are giving a restatement to what you have read, but then there would be no changes at all regarding the kind of the content of what you are reading. That is paraphrasing. Okay, so for example, you are reading, for example, I'm reading a Bible. Okay, every day I try to read my Bible. That is one way of my devotion. So I do paraphrase what God is trying to imply to the kind of passage that I am reading. So I put this on my own interpretation, but then the message doesn't change. That is paraphrasing. All right. Now let's go with the next one. Let's hear it from. Okay, lady.
Outlining. This can be used as a preliminary to summarizing. Outlining allows you to identify the basic structure of a text and the main ideas of the text.
Okay. So outlining is actually connive with summarizing. So summarizing creates a new text by synthesizing the material of the original. So outlining and summarizing are especially helpful strategies for understanding the content and structure of reading selection. So whereas outlining reveals the basic structure of the text, while summarizing synthesizes a selection, main argument in brief or in short. So they work hand in hand, they work together. So summarizing begins with outlining, but instead of merely listing the main ideas, a summary recomposes them to form a new text. So whereas outlining depends on close analysis of each paragraph, then summarizing requires creative synthesis. So that is the proper way of reading, using using outlining and summarizing. Now, I'm sorry. Let's go with the seventh one. Link, can you please read?
Exploring the figurative language. metaphors, and symbols are all examples of figurative language. Summarizing.
Sorry, hindi na studying summarizing. So exploring the figurative language. Do you understand what are figurative language?
Yes po.
How is it different to the parts of the speech? What is the purpose of figurative language? Anybody who has an idea? What is the function of figurative language?
Figurative language helps the writer and the reader to helps the reader to imagine writer means what
Okay,
writer wants to illustrate to
yeah,
readers' minds.
yes, because those are creative words with no literal, but then it's not the literal meaning of it. So those are just creative words used by the author, okay, to give some deep meaning to the content of what you are reading. So some examples of that, we have similes, metaphors, and symbols. That is one thing that you have to understand. Let's say, for example, you have read, let's say, for example, you are the apple of my eye. It's not the literal apple itself, the apple, you are the apple of my eyes. It's not the literal apple itself, the fruit, but then it means that you are so special to the person. Or let's say, for example, you have read in a context in the passage, I have butterflies in my stomach. What does it mean? What is the meaning of that? I have butterflies in my stomach.
Yung kinilig po, kinikilig.
Is it? You're kinikilig. What else? You're getting what? You're getting nervous. It's not the literal meaning that you have butterfly in your stomach, right? So that is one thing. So we have to explore some figurative languages stipulated in the writings or the reading materials that we are reading. Okay? Then the last one we have here, evaluating the logic of an argument. Nicole, can you please read Nicole? Nicole, are you there? Okay, Nicole is out. Mika, can you please read? Anoyo, Mika Anoyo.
Evaluating the logic of an argument. The two parts of an argument are nawala po,
Sorry, sorry.
are claim and support. The claim is what the writer wants the reader to accept.
Okay, evaluating the logic of argument. When we talk about logic, what does it mean? It means reasoning, right? Okay, evaluating the logic of the argument. That means testing the logic of a text as well as the credibility and emotional impact. So, a critical reader, you should not accept anything on face value, right? So, as a reader, you should not just keep on accepting anything and everything, right? But we have to evaluate the kind of arguments stipulated by the author to what you are reading. That is one thing, okay? Just because by doing that, we are becoming so critical in so many ways, right? Okay? Do you understand, class? So we are done with the writing and now with reading. So I guess you are able to have an overview or grasp the idea um, between writing and reading. So those are the two most important micro skills or macro skills, sorry, macro skills of individual of each individual that sorry that must learn. Okay. Okay. For the recap, anybody who wants to recap regarding this, regarding the lesson, okay, who wants to do the recap of everything that transpired in the lesson? Recapitalization. Anybody who wants to try? You're just going to go back what you have learned. Okay, anybody? Do I have to call name? Okay, what transpired in the lesson? Okay, what are the strategies in critical reading? Okay, Lance. What are the 8 strategies in critical reading?
The 8 strategies are annotating, which is you're going to annotate or highlight the important details. Then contextualizing is when it is like out of the date. Then what else? About um outlining. Outlining outlining is the summarization or the basic, or for me it's the easiest way to understand or the story. Then summarizing is to create a new text. Then yeah, exploring figurative language to enhance the vocabulary, not only the readers but also the writers who's going to write the
Okay,
story. Okay. Next one is
thank,
evaluating the logic of an argument is explain what the writer wants the reader to accept.
okay, thank you so much, Lance. Okay, very good. So those are the 8 strategies in critical reading. I hope, class, you could be able to store it in your mind so that in future reading of yours, you could be able to understand more what you are reading. It's not just about reading, not just in the purpose of reading it, not just the purpose of finishing what you are reading, but then we have to be critical. All right. Now, class, based on the activities that you are going to do, as you can see, we have the rubrics there. Again, I just wanted to reiterate that it is a no-no that you are just going to do um, copy paste, then print. No, I will no longer accept it. As much as possible, you have to follow what is included in the rubrics. It should be something original. If you wanted to have a good score, if you wanted to have a good grade, then make it as your own. Plus, I'm getting more impressed to the person, to the student who are exert effort and able to write or to come out a good output. It doesn't matter if you have your error with your grammar, but that is something how you could help yourself to improve, to develop or to enrich that kind of skills of yours. All right. So that would be all. Is there any other question? Is there other question that you wanted to clarify, class?
None po.
Okay, nine. Okay, so I guess that would be all. So let's call it a day. Have a great day. Enjoy answering your modules. Goodbye, everyone.